Hello Coaster friends, it's Adam here from Pause Games and welcome back to Planet Coaster and welcome back to Hysteria Valley. In this episode today, episode 31 I believe, wow 31, we're going to be doing quite a bit in our African area, and we also put in the new logo around the park, which we recently teased on X and you saw at the start of this video. So yeah, the new park logo is going around the park, as well as, like I said, we're going to expand on the African area. So if you go on to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Planet Coaster 1 and 2 content. Okay, so the first thing we are doing is expanding out this little plaza area in front of the gift shop. We're going to put in a brand new ride and also a brand new building in this episode today. So let's jump into the time lapse. Okay, so as we've just said, we're starting out with the plaza area just here in front of the shop and the toilets. We're using these wonderful pebbles, which everyone seems to be using at the moment from the toolkit. They're great for stuff like this, just filling in areas. Very light planting. Again, this theme kind of goes through this area with the rocks and the trees and all that kind of stuff. And again, just expanding out the little bits of stones and all that kind of stuff to the edge. A little bit of light theming added onto the toilet building. We try and do a bit there. It needs a bit more, so we'll finish that off at some point just to tie it into the other building. Some wonderful signage again from the toolkit, and one of our lovely little fans, which I think just add a little bit of kinetic energy to the area, and that's kind of it for the toilet block. It's just simple, it's serviceable, and it does the job. Few light bits of theming in here in the bush, just as a transition from that building to the next area, and into the next area, which we're going to see in a few moments. We actually put in a new ride. So we haven't got any sort of, well, we've got some slow moving rides in this park. We've got the boat ride, which has got a little bit of a dark ride scene, and there's a couple of flats, but we haven't really got like a scenic ride as such, so that's why we put in this little cars ride. We don't finish it off in this episode. We basically just put in the ride itself. We do the station, we do the queue line, and we do a little bit of terrain work around the layout of the actual ride itself, but we do need to finish this off, which you'll probably see in the next episode. I think I want to try and tie off this whole African area in the next one, because by the end of today we are quite close to the end of this African village, and then we can think about what we're going to do for the next episode. One thing which I will contemplate doing is, and I'm still not sure if I'm going to do this or not yet, it depends what we put in the other side of the lake. We might put a boat from this area, this African area, that goes across the water into the adventure area near where we've got the log flume. I'm toying with that idea at the moment, so there could be like a little port basically opposite this, where you catch the boat like a dock and you can take it over to the other side of the park. I don't know, we'll figure it out. We'll see if there's space once we get to the other end, but it's something we might come back and do. But other than that, this area is pretty much done in terms of its rides. It's got the drop towers, it's got the shop, it's got the restaurants, it's got this car ride, and then we just start working on another building, which you will see at the end of this episode, basically opposite this, which is taking a little bit of inspiration from Shanghai Disney, actually, in their sort of adventure area. This building itself, in terms of the car ride, it's a very lightly themed kind of African garage. That's what we're kind of going for, car repairs. It's very light on the theme. It's not, again, this park wouldn't put in like a full themed ride for this, because the actual ride layout itself is not going to be overly themed. It's going to be more terrain with maybe a few little props here and there, like campsites or whatever. But yeah, this station building is kind of loosely a car garage, which kind of works, gives the impression we're going for. So very light interior just in the back of the station. Again, nothing special, just to give the eye something to look at as you come in. So yeah, that's what we do here. Like I said, we'll finish off the actual ride itself probably in the next episode, and it's going to be very light. Like I say, terrain, a few tiny bits of theming, but all in all, I think it works in the area as just a bit of a filler ride. and then the next area to sort of the left of this, so taking us around the main lake towards the back of the park, we'll have quite a big coaster is what I'm planning for that. So that'll sort of tick the box of a thrill ride and a big e-ticket ride, because this area doesn't really have that. It has the 2 shot and drop towers and this, so it makes sense to put a coaster or some kind of big ride next, and that's what we'll probably start doing in the next episode or the one after. Depends how much more we do in this African area. So in terms of the queue line, again, we use the lovely pebbles, a bit of rock to try and give it a bit of organic. We've sort of trialing here the idea of using the pebble half sunk into the ground to give the impression that the floor has kind of got like a rough texture. I might start doing that across the rest of this area into the main pathways, just to blend it in a little bit better, take off the curbs, and see if we can make it look a bit more themed, because I really love themed pathways, and it's something we don't really get in the UK, but you see it all over the place in mainland Europe parks, and in especially the Disney and Universal parks. You get a lot of flooring that's had stamps or themed, or it just works really well. The main example I can give is around Animal Kingdom, where the actual flooring is so overly themed that it, like I mentioned in the last episode, it kind of goes beyond too themed in a way, but that's what we might try and do here. But we'll figure that out as we get through to the finishing touches, which, like I say, we'll probably do in the next episode. Just tie everything together and just put a nice little cap onto the African area. So a little fly through of what we've done so far. Like I say, at the moment we've just done this car dealership and this tracked ride. As with all the ride names, we still need one, so any suggestions, drop them down below, and we'll probably go through and do a full naming pass of everything at some point. But yeah, we've put, like I say, this little car dealership in. I might have a slight tweak of the colours, which I think we might even do in the next section of time lapse. I can't remember, it's been a few days, I'll be honest. I've been away for my birthday, so I can't really remember. Anyway, so that's it for the car dealership. And now we're going to jump into a different bit of footage where we are putting in our brand new park logo just here and there around the park, in the entrance, in a few screens, on some signs, some flags, just to get it sort of there, really, because it never had a logo before. We kind of replicated a font, which I can't even remember what the font was, because all my old files have been lost many years ago. Luckily, a lot of the screens and that sort of assets, the user files have remained, but all the editable stuff I don't have. So we just play around with a few ideas here. I told you with the idea of doing some flags. Look, they're a bit big, so we go for some screens. Again, I might change those, but for now it kind of works. A few little screens here above the entrance. Again, these could be changed. They are in theme. These are our screens, so they can be changed for events, or if you ever need to update the information, or if every one of these turnstiles is closed, whatever, we can update those. So it does have its use in the real world. It's not, rather than just being a sign. And then here opposite the main entrance, we put a bigger billboard in. Well, it's one of the big screens, actually, again, just to house this wall and frame it off a little bit better, because the old sign was never a permanent solution anyway. So we put the big logo in, and it's sort of like a mural as you walk into the park. I think it looks quite good. It looks better than what we had before, and it kind of fits the theme of this, certainly this front vintage area, a lot better, and kind of ties everything together. We add it in here, just again a little bit of focal point to the cafe, and again it works quite well with that sort of Victorian vintage theme that we're going for. Put a few more little bits of propage here and there in the shop, again just trying to come back to these old areas and finish up some bits, add some more signage, some more lighting. Because every time I come through I see something else that we've not finished, so it's a case of just putting in some extra bits, and that's what we do as we finally getting through this park and sort of saying goodbye to all the work we did many years ago. Here I tried to put some logos in these little corner pieces. I still need to do a bit of work on these because they're kind of still a bit stuck on, but I just like the idea of having a circular logo in that little circular patch. I just think it looks, well, hopefully will look quite good, so we'll come back to that another time. Right, so back into our African area. What I found, so context for this building. I was watching a vlog series recently from an American YouTube channel that covers Disney World and news and all that kind of stuff. And he's one of the guys who runs the channel has recently been in Asia for a few months and has been living in Tokyo, I believe. But he's also recently done a vlog series on Shanghai Disney, which is a place I've not been myself. I've never been to any of the Asia parks, unfortunately. Still got those 3 to tick off the list. But as he's walking through their sort of adventure aisle, I think it's called, there was a building just to the left that caught my eye on the shot, and I think it's just a random food outlet. I don't think it's anything special. It's like a quick service, I think. But it had this really sort of simple theme along the top of the building, which is obviously just a facade to cover up whatever's behind it. But I thought it looked really good in terms of it being, like I say, a cheap bit of theming. So we try and replicate that here using the thatch at the front, and then basically just wood walls and scaffold pieces along the top, which is just going to be used as like a blockade of a facade, really. And that's kind of what we go for with this build. I haven't got a use for it yet. It's either going to be a shop, or it's going to be a restaurant, or potentially, and this is where it comes to what I mentioned earlier, it might become the station, or at least the queue line for that boat ride that we potentially put in here that goes over to the other side of the park. I don't know yet. I tried duplicating it just to see if 2 buildings looked okay next to each other. They don't. I got rid of one. It looked a bit too copy and paste, which it was. So yeah, we'll come back to that building another time, figure out a use for it, but I think it looks quite good on the horizon. We covered it with a bit of rock, had a few little props around. It was stunning to finish the planting in that area, as you can see from this now live view. But the actual building itself and this car dealership ride are pretty much done. We just need to find, like I say, a use for that one. So yeah, a few bits more planting down here. I might, like I said before, might tie in that kind of rough texture on the floor to the rest of the area, so it kind of looks themed. Get rid of the curbs, then hopefully that'll bring everything together, make the paths look a little bit more organic. Because we've gone for these big plaza areas with the planting in the middle on purpose, because I like the idea of having a lot of trees and planting and foliage around to give it that kind of impression that the village has been kind of taken over. It's like an old, it's not very well kept. That's the idea. Look, I don't know. It's just, we're throwing some things together. It's a theme that doesn't exist in the game. I'm trying my best with it. And it's just trying to take inspiration from here, there and everywhere to make this work. And so far, I think it's coming on okay. Like I said, I think we're okay for the rides in this area. It's only very small. It's just a very quick little outpost. So 2 rides I think will be fine. So we'll finish up that car ride in the next episode. We'll find a use for that building, finish up all the plazas, add some more planting in, and then we are pretty much done for the African village, and we can start thinking about what to put next as we move around the lake. Because we've got a little patch of land, which I think I do a little nice zoom out in a minute and you'll be able to see it from above. We got a nice little patch of land that takes us sort of towards the very back of the park. I do, like I said before, I do want a coaster in that area, or at least some kind of big e-ticket ride. But it's probably going to be a coaster because we do need more in this park. We've currently only got the one, which is the wooden coaster, the Smuggler's Run. So ideally, yeah, and a steel coaster would be nice, something a bit modern, maybe a Eurofighter, I don't know, something like that, because obviously the park won't have tons of money. It's not like we can just spend millions and millions on a big expansion, but equally I want to fill the gap. It needs a thrill ride, so I think maybe, like I say, a Curse Hour, Eurofighter or something like that would tick the box, but we'll see. We'll figure out next time. I'll have a little play around off camera and figure out what works on the horizon. And also I kind of want it to give a nice backdrop to the park from looking at like a bit of a scenic view, so that's kind of what we're going to go for. Right, so now jumping back to the front of the park, we are going to have just a very quick live view look through some of the things that we did here in the entrance in terms of the signage, the flags and all that kind of stuff, just to have a nice little look at it in real time, because you can't really see the details in the sped up footage in the time lapse. So yeah, a quick few little screens around, and then let's say we added these little screens up to the top. Again, these could work as information boards, as adverts for the park, upgrades to annual passes, that sort of thing, which we might do at some point. I might go through and make some little animations because in the cafe to the right hand side here we do have all the animated menus, so we could do that, make a theme and animate this. And again, this big sign there, it could become an animated sign again, like I said, advertise events from the park, Halloween, Christmas. It would, if this was a sort of like the entrance to Thorpe Park. It kind of has the big screen, so maybe we'll figure that out as we do the final touches. So here's like a bit of an overview so far, like I said, of the park. The Smuggler's Run wooden coaster kind of sits nicely in the middle, as you can see there. So in terms of like what's the word? A skyline, that's the one of the park. I think another coaster in that back right area, very close to where that water goes and that bridge is. I think another coaster there would look really nice, sort of on the skyline. And you can see now how much space we've got left to work with in that back section. I haven't even locked in a theme idea yet, so we'll work on that as time goes on between now and the next episode. So if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to give us a like down below, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the content. Let us know in comments down below if you've got any suggestions for names or rides or what we should do for that next theme. I'm hoping to get the next video out hopefully next week, and sort of work on, hopefully we'll finish off the African area and maybe even start work on the next area, but we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.